The voices have called out to me, and I am once again inspired to make a silly D&D build that no one has asked for, but yet I hope that you will enjoy it regardless. This build is all about maximizing your ability to infiltrate. And I use the term infiltrate here very specifically. You see, I'm not just throwing words out. There's an actual reason for this. The word choice, very important. You see, anyone can roll for stealth. If you've been on the channel for a long enough time, you will know that the whole 30 DC impossible thing means absolutely nothing to us. We could roll 70 to a skill if we wanted to. However, we're doing this our way. Anyone can make a build all about rolling high stealth. However, this build has strengths beyond simply just being stealthy. This build is about sneaking in and being undetected. Because yes, those two things are surprisingly different once you get down to the base of it. First of all, for our race, we're going to be picking one that we've honestly never seen before on this channel. And honestly, if you go to a lot of other builds and a lot of other channels, I doubt you're going to see it there either, because I don't think I have ever even seen another builder use this race for anything, really. And this is the Deep Gnome. This lineage gets us a surprising amount of options for our infiltration abilities. One specific feature that we can get access to is a free use of Disguise Self. And in addition, we also get access to the non-detection spell. And typically with this spell, you have to spend 25 gold to cast it. But thanks to the Deep Gnome's traits, we can cast it with no material components once a day. For now, at least. And even too, this spell lasts 8 hours and makes us imperceptible to divination magic and scrying sensors. This combined with our future invisibility and stupidly high stealth will make us completely undetectable and allow us to slip in and out of wherever we want to. But anyways, continuing to move forward, as we progress with our character build, we'll also want to take the Dimir Guild or custom background with the Dimir features for said background. The Dimir Guild gives us great spells such as Pass Without Trace, and for those of you that don't know why Pass Without Trace is so good, is it is a lovely spell that gives us the ability to get a plus 10 to our stealth checks. Combining this lovely spell with our Deep Gnome Surf Neplin Camouflage, I'm not going to try to read that over again, you cannot make me. Anyways, that feature gives us tons of stealth potential. I've been cursed for my hubris. I'm now realizing that that same word comes up again in the script. Smurf Neplin Camo allows us to get advantage on stealth checks a number of times a day equal to your proficiency bonus. And now that we have all these features, what we'll want to do is head on over to Warlock. And weirdly enough, we'll want to work on maximizing our dexterity instead of our charisma. And yes, you heard that right. We're going Dexlock with Pact of the Blade. For our Warlock of choice, we'll want to focus on Pact of the Fiend. Thanks to this option, we get lots of interesting damage and sustain abilities. But the main reason we're here is for the Dark One's Luck feature. This lovely feature allows us to roll a 1d10 for skill checks once per short rest, which as you can imagine, can be incredibly helpful. For damage, eventually we're going to pick up Eldritch Smite as one of our invocations, and for spells, we'll want to focus on collecting as many utility spells and defense spells for our Warlock as possible. And while yes, building a Dexlock is rather controversial, you do have a surprising amount of spells that don't actually rely on your charisma to cast and use. Armor of Agathis, for example, is a fantastic option which doesn't rely on your charisma. Sleep, which we could get from the Dimir Guild, can also be great for incapacitating enemies. These are two big spells that we can just get that don't require any sort of charisma buff to use effectively. Our spells won't be for crowd control or damage, but instead keeping us alive and providing some nice utility to ourselves and the party. Anyways, moving on. By this point in the game, as I mentioned before, we should be at level 6, we've got Dark One's Luck, and already we have a goldless non-detection spell, a 1d10 plus 10 to stealth checks without even accounting for our actual stealth proficiency, and we'll likely have been able to pick up our first feat as well. We'll want to take the Skill Expert feat here to work on bumping up our dexterity and giving us expertise in stealth. And now that we've gotten a good bulk of Warlock under our belt, we'll want to head over to Fighter. And from here, we'll take 3 levels to get access to Battle Master Fighter. The reason for this bizarre mix is that, funny enough, the Battle Master maneuvers can also sometimes boost our skills. I made a lot of builds with Battle Master. I've played a few Battle Masters. They are a lot of fun. Do not sleep on the subclass. But anyways, the maneuver that we'll want to focus on is the Ambush maneuver. Using this, we can add an additional superiority die to our stealth rolls. And in this case, it's just going to be a D8, but still, you see where this is going. And of course, too, while we're here, it would also be a good idea to pick up some additional maneuvers. I think tripping attack would work quite well, and also give us some additional crowd control to rely on when we're out of our Eldritch Smites. And of course, too, now that we've taken a few levels of early level fighter, we also get lovely things like a 1d10 hit die a few times, action surge, a fighting style. Need I say more? But anyways, after we take these first 3 levels, then we're going to go head back over to Warlock again. And from here on out, we work on boosting our dexterity and charisma as high as we can. And along the way, likely after we max our dexterity, we'll want to grab the Smurpakiplin magic feat. What this lovely feat does is allow us to cast the non-detection spell for free. And we're talking infinitely free. No material component, no spell slot, no packed magic, no limit to the amount of times per day you can cast this spell. This means spells like Scrying, See Invisibility, Detect Thoughts, Locate Creature, Find the Path, etc. all don't work on you. Any magical effects that would perceive or target you are nullified, basically. And with this, we simply progress through Warlock all the way to the end of the game. And now, there's a lot of other features you can get from Warlock that I hadn't fully covered in this video. So here's where I'll be going over some of the honorable mentions, as well as just other things that would definitely help you out along the way. So at 15th level of Warlock, if your game gets that far, you can get the invocation Shroud of Shadow, which will allow you to cast invisibility at will. At level 7, Ghostly Gaze basically gives you X-ray vision out to a range of 30 feet. Combining this with the Misty Step spell can basically allow you to teleport through solid walls we normally wouldn't be able to see through or even just go through. Because remember, Misty Step is a line of sight kind of spell. This lends itself very well to finding hidden objectives and things we normally wouldn't be able to see or even infiltrate into. Because a lot of teleportation spells don't really allow you to teleport into places you're unfamiliar with. Using Ghostly Gaze and then following this up with Misty Step can allow you to just bamf into wherever you want to. At 5th level Warlock, you can gain the One with Shadows invocation that allows you to become invisible if you're in an area of dim light or darkness. And of course too, there's loads of spells that can help you sneak into places as well. Misty Step, as I already mentioned, is great. Invisibility is a given. Spider Climb and Fly are also great for scaling walls and getting into high, hard-to-reach areas. And funny enough, Meld into Stone is actually really good for infiltration. We can get it from our Dimir background, and thanks to it, we can hang out in a fixed place for 8 hours. And personally, when I realized what you could actually get into, no pun intended, with Meld into Stone, it basically just gave off the same energy as the Blarkin Son's He's in the Walls moment. Like, you can just use Meld into Stone, and if you pop out and someone's like, oh my god, there's a guy there, get him! You can just run into another wall and just back in, and they're like, where'd he go? And you can just live in their walls indefinitely. It's pretty crazy. You'd basically be like Bruno from Encanto, just in the walls. Just hanging out, just for whatever reason. So do with this cursed information what you will. I just thought that this was funny. Getting back on track, Gaseous Form is also incredible for this too, and can also help you squeeze through some very tight nooks and crannies. Like, let's say, for instance, hey, there's a little crack that you can kind of see, you know that this is going to lead to somewhere important. You can use Gaseous Form and just kind of wiggle your way through. Dimension Door and Far Step are great for teleporting far and frequently. Perfect for getting into or out of places you're not supposed to be. Dimension Door itself is the perfect, the jig is up, get out of there now, kind of spell. And topping it off, Mask of Many Faces is a fantastic option for disguising us and keeping us away from peeping eyes. As I mentioned before though, we did focus more on dexterity rather than charisma. So your DC to pick through the Mask of Many Faces might not be that great. However, it's still an option that you have available. And even too, if you're starting the game off as a Warlock, it would kind of make sense if it's at least your secondary stat. Like, you're definitely not going to dump it, is the thing. But anyways, with all these fun features, let's see how this measures up. We're a Warlock with an interesting array of stealth abilities at our disposal. We have a nice amount of utility from our spells, invocations, and maneuvers. So we actually have quite a lot we can offer the party other than just being an infiltration expert. Our abilities are also strongly well-rounded, enough to where we're not actually missing out on too many abilities in a way that would hamper us overall. And weirdly enough too, you're actually kind of a skill monkey. Dark One's Luck is a really good ability that you can actually slap on to just about any situation you needed to. And of course, too, with going Battlemaster Fighter, I recommended that you go ambush and tripping maneuver. However, there are other maneuvers that you can take. And of course, too, being a fighter, you are really good when it comes to combat. Mixing Battlemaster Fighter with the various Pact of the Blade invocations can actually make you a menace in combat and really give you some interesting crowd control options. And of course, too, as I was mentioning in the beginning of the video, while yes, stealth checks are easy enough to build, I also just like seeing the number goes up. It releases the happy chemical. So let's crunch some numbers. 1d8 from our ambush maneuver, 1d10 from Dark One's luck, 12 from our expertise in stealth, 5 from our max dexterity, and 10 from pass without trace. At max, we can get a fat 65 if we somehow roll max for all of our die, including our d20. And also, as I mentioned much earlier in the video, you also have your camouflage, which allows you to get advantage on stealth checks. So basically, this gives you the lovely ability to crit fish your stealth checks for whatever reason that you would want to try to crit fish your stealth checks. Just keep that in mind. But also, at minimum, we can get ourselves a measly 30. And this is if somehow we rolled a natural 1 for literally all of our dice and all of our rolls. But as I also mentioned, using your camo, you can literally just give yourself advantage on stealth. So even if you rolled a natural 1, you're likely not going to keep that natural 1 and just roll something different. And even if you ran out of all of these uses, you didn't use a spell like invisibility to give you advantage, is it even really a problem if you somehow manage to roll a 30 on a stealth check from a natural 1? Honestly, like with a build like this, it really can't be that big of a problem. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like and subscribe for even more D&D content and ideas. Let me know in the comments what sort of sneakery you'll be doing with this build. And also, let me know how you would try to mix it up. You know, what are some things you've done for really cool infiltration missions within your campaigns, and how would you personally go about building this character? And in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see all of you next time.